Hello guys, it's Nicole of NicoleNichelle.com. As you know, the Oscars were this week. And I'm sure you're watching this through a mountain of think pieces on Chris Rock's performance, whether you liked it, whether you not, there's plenty of material to talk about. I wanted to bring up a controversy that arose within the Oscars with criticism, specific criticism to how he addressed the problems of race in Hollywood, and that is hashtag #NotYourMule. So #NotYourMule was a hashtag that was created, hold on, I'm looking up the user, by Twitter user Naisha, or @NayJasme, and I'm going to link that in the bottom. But basically what it's about is people, I don't want to call out specific individuals, even though, I have such a small scope that I'm sure it doesn't matter. It's not going to start an East Coast, West Coast battle. But Huffington Post Latin Voices and Jose Vargas, who's Filipino journalist, they criticized Chris Rock for not representing other races. And Not Your Mule arose because a lot of African Americans like myself felt that we were being tasked to create and generate hashtags and visibility for other minorities that aren't already created for themselves. So when you think about hashtag Black Lives Matter, that was something that was created by African Americans to address a very real problem with police brutality within our communities. And of course that is inclusive towards police brutality between other races. But if you wanted to deal with some of the specific issues in terms of representation of being a minority, being an Asian minority, being Filipino in Hollywood, then you should generate that so that other people can support it. So what Not Your Mule came about was we felt that we were being tasked to not only generate conversations around other minority stories, but also make them visible as we have ourselves. And what really started coming out was anti-blackness that's present in so many other cultures that a lot of people like to overlook. And let's take Spanish-speaking television. I'm someone who has grown up my entire life watching novelas. I watch La Fea Más Bella, I watch Sábado Gigante, El Gordo y la Flaca. Those are people that I grew up with alongside some of my heroes in English-speaking cinema as well. That's just the nature of America, that a black girl, African-American girl, can be fully engrossed in Spanish-speaking television. I took Spanish for 7 years. Of course I can watch Spanish-speaking television and enjoy it very much. But in that, something that was very plain to see was the exclusion of Afro-Latinos in Spanish-speaking media. So for all the time that I've watched novelas, Las Noticias, I've watched all of that, I can count on one hand the amount of Afro-Latino newscasters or leading ladies. I believe the only one I can think of right now is El Color de Pecado, which is actually translated from a Brazilian soap opera. And that's actually, I think that means translated the color of sin. So already, like, you have a black Latina out there, and it's like the color of sin, really. But that's like one of the only examples I can think of. So one of the challenges made on Not Your Mule, just specific to that example, because anti-blackness is not something that is only exhibited within the African American community, within the Latin community, but it also is in, you see it in India, you see it in Japan, you see it everywhere, anti-blackness, and we're just asking that you address those issues before you come to our doorstep and charge us with not caring. Because we have a lot of examples of black produced and written television where that is obviously not the case. So that's part one, and if you're still going to stick with me to part two, where I talk about the examples of where we have come together and the solutions that we have moving forward, because it can be a really big dogfight. This is a conversation that isn't going to be solved in one video or one think piece. It's an ongoing conversation. But if you want to stick with me, see see the next video, and I will talk to you then.